what I'm about to do should not be taken as any sort of guide because I'm probably going to get a lot of things wrong and things will also maybe go wrong. Basically, if you remember this iPod from the other video, I turned it on and the hard drive was completely dead. It showed the sad iPod and everything after running a disk scan. So I thought it would kind of be fun to maybe see if we could do something about that, or at least mess up the drive further by trying. And I have already opened one of these hard drives, and by that I mean I have opened this hard drive before, and I have diagnosed our problem, kind of, I think. Basically, the actual little read head inside the drive seems to be vertically misaligned, causing at least one of the heads to hit the platter instead of reading it. And I will show you what I mean if I can open this drive up. Once you get these few screws out, to get this top shell off, you'll notice there's a bit of a lip going over the shell, and you can actually, there's those little access points here, you can kind of just pry under it and then very carefully go on the outside here, and it'll snap up and you can kind of pry up the drive off of its gasket or whatever from there. And do not do this with a functioning drive, by the way. If a single piece of dust lands on the platter, it's kind of over. I'm considering it fine for this drive because it's already pretty far gone. And once we lift this out of here, there's our beautiful mirror platter with only a little bit of dust because I've opened it before. And you do want to be very careful with these too, because, you know, getting a fingerprint on them, that's also going to wipe data. But if I take my screwdriver with the SIM ejector tool at the end and kind of move these heads over, you'll notice I kind of have a bit of trouble moving around. If I try and move the drive platters, it's having a pretty difficult time doing it. It's not really going very well. And the noises I was hearing in my first encounter with this drive were actually the platter failing to spin up. The read heads got stuck to the drive. And off camera, I did just open this and kind of go like this with the platter to free the drive heads. And I ran it like this, which again, not recommended. Please don't do that. Ran it without the top on it. And basically what it did was move the drive heads over, realized that something was going very wrong, and then it immediately parked them. And then it tried again. And again, and that's kind of where you get the clicking sound from, maybe, if your drive is dead. Or if your drive also sounds like it's kind of doing nothing, maybe that's because the read heads are stuck to the platter, just like the top of the drive is stuck to the table because it's got the rubber gasket on this side. But the plan that I had with this drive, I'm actually gonna close this up real quick and use an even more damaged drive to test my little theory that's probably really incorrect. Close it up, you can just kind of put this here, slide it forward a little bit to put it into place, close it up, and then use the same tool you got it open with to pry the lip back out and push that part back under the lip. Might take a little while to get right, because just like getting it open, you kind of need to slide along the lip. But eventually the lid should just kind of snap back into place if you use a little bit of force. And the drive is closed back up. This right here, labeled SAD 2, is actually, I think, a 15 gig drive from a 4th gen. And this one, I don't remember what happened with it. It might have been the one that failed in my arms, but I can't actually remember if that was just the drive cable or if that was actually whatever happened to this one, which is far worse than what happened to the original SAD drive. You'll see it if I can get this screw out. It's much easier now that we've upgraded the toolkit. And get those screws out, open this on up the same way we did with the first one. Again, not recommended that you ever do this, especially if your drive is still functioning, because there's a pretty good chance that doing this will make your drive not function anymore. Get it under there, right here, because there's no platter here that you can stab into. And we will lift this up. But with this one, a little something's different with the old read head here. And if I use the same little tool to move the heads manually again, you'll kind of notice it's not even going onto the platter anymore. And if we get real close up and we use the sim ejector tool right here, that piece is not attached to the read head anymore. You know, this is really not ideal. This is not what you want to see in a hard drive, and this will also cause the clicking. The heads will just do like a rapid sweep over the drive, and then the drive notices that something is just a little bit off, as in off, not on the head at all, and it'll sweep back immediately and then retry. I don't know why it retries, it just kind of does that. But the whatever little idea I had, I thought I would maybe just try and either get this read head off of here or cut this entire bit off, which again, don't do that. Never do that. It's really very much not recommended at all. But, you know, for educational purposes, we can try it. I'll swap out the screwdriver for a tiny little tri-point one, and you will notice I can't unscrew this because it makes the whole read head move, which is unideal for what we're trying to do here. Alright, I'm gonna see if we can get in a different way. Again, don't do this. Alright, awesome, we took one component out. It's just like a game of Operation. Alright, well I got one screw out of this, and now the other one's kind of stripped, so I'm not exactly sure where to go from here. This feels very wrong. Oh, there we go. This is such a horrible idea. I don't even know why I'm doing this. The arm still doesn't even reach the platter. Whoa, now it's over. I got a little bit of fingerprint on the drive, because it wasn't over before. I mean, there was no fingerprint on the drive. Ah, yes, I got the read head back onto the drive. Surely this will go perfectly as the drive struggles to move the read head. And also the head just forced itself off the platter. Oh man, it doesn't want to go back on. That's weird. Oh, maybe that's why we don't have this component back on here. This really is like a game of Operation. Except instead of operating on a guy, I'm just like murdering this inanimate object. Alright, again, for educational purposes, this is what it looks like when one of these dead drives is spinning up. Oh, there it goes. It notices something is wrong and immediately spins down. Either that or the firewire stopped working for a second. Let's go one more time. Oh, yeah, this time the heads are stuck to the platter, so the drive is failing to spin up. Let's just unstick those real quick. Now that the platter can spin freely, let's see that again. Yep. Oh, the drive is still trying to spin, it's just stuck. Alright, just because I am a little curious, I kind of wanted to run the drive that, does this. But, like, you know, we can't just do this because it's unsafe. So what we will do is screw the entire drive back together to make a little enclosure just in case the drive turns into a bunch of dust. Alright, we've got the drive closed with every screw tightened up. Again, even though the cover is on and everything's screwed in, I still would really not recommend that you do this. But for educational purposes, let's run it and see what happens. Hopefully I don't hear like an exploding sound or something, and that would be really not fun. Oh, okay. Well, that was a really unfun sound. That kind of startled me a little bit, you know? Usually you're not supposed to hear that sound from a hard drive. You know, just as a quick demonstration, this is usually what it's supposed to be like. Except this is supposed to be like a hard drive. But I am running it with no hard drive, which for the first gen, I guess just lets it hang on the Apple logo forever. Let's check the inside of the drive real quick to see if anything's went wrong in here. This drive is now truly very long gone, but it definitely serves as a nice example. Well, I mean, it just kind of looks normal. It's the exact same, but it kind of yelled at me. So there's your lesson of the video. If the hard drive in your iPod is dead, do not attempt to revive it by just opening it up and doing whatever I just did. Just flash mod it, or if you're really that much of a preservationist, you could get a replacement hard drive, or just kind of get a working hard drive like this one, because this one doesn't yell at you. See, this is what a hard drive is supposed to sound like. I just got some random reading patterns. You know, the drive isn't yelling, and that's a pretty healthy drive. What you don't want to hear from one of these is a constant clicking, which would be the drive maybe trying to read and it can't, so it repeatedly parks, or something's hitting the drive in the case of this one, so it repeatedly retries and doesn't work. Or if your drive's too far gone, maybe you'll hear yelling like this one. But I think that was kind of partially because I removed the little plastic bit here and never put it back in, because I couldn't figure out how to put it back in, so I didn't really care. With the original SAD, it was just some sort of misalignment maybe with the heads that was causing them to get completely stuck to the platter, and the platter was failing to spin up, which still created a repeated clicking, just not as loud because it wasn't clicking from the heads, it was clicking from the spindle or the center of the drive trying to move, and it couldn't. So I hope you learned some sort of lesson about hard drives. I clearly did not. I don't know how they work still. These things are like magic. Not as much as CRTs though. I don't know how those work at all. But I think I'll keep the top off this hard drive just as a little keepsake, just like a certain someone else has on his desk. Except I'm not gonna smear it with fingerprints just yet. I'll just kind of keep it around as a little bit of an example. Again, this whole video was just for educational purposes. Don't do this. Don't disassemble a hard drive unless you know what you're doing. And even if you do know what you're doing, you should be in one of those dust-free chambers, unless the hard drive is completely confirmed to be entirely non-functional and dead and completely unrevivable. Then I guess you wouldn't have to be in one of those chambers, but you should still know what you're doing. Because these things can be dangerous, you know, considering the center is basically like a glass mirror. These things can shatter. They're very dangerous. Still, again, not nearly as dangerous as CRTs though. And that's the key takeaway from this. A CRT is a big hard drive.